Welcome back to your Valley Sports Plugs Super Bowl 58 preview stream. We're coming at you live on Wednesday, February 7th, 2024. My name's Chris Patrick, and I am joined by my co-hosts Michael Benjamin and VSP Tallman here to talk about the big game. What is going on, fellas? How you doing tonight?
Fellas, the big game is here. I might vomit from excitement and also from the two teams that are in this game, but it's going to be a fun one no matter what. Tallman, how you doing, man?
Chris, Michael, doing good. This is one of the most exciting weeks of sports in Arizona because not only do we have the big Super Bowl game, but we also have one of the best PGA Tour events in the Waste Open or the Waste Management, the Phoenix Open. So it's good. I'm excited to watch some golf and lose some money on Sunday.
Well, the Pro-Am got rained out today, so cross your fingers that it stays dry tomorrow, right?
Yeah. Do you see some of those pictures? All the greens were flooded. It was awful.
Yeah, not looking good out there. I think, Tallman, plenty of drama going on in the world of golf. So on our next Heat Check podcast, we might have to get into that a little bit. But we're here to
do. Yes,
for sure. You're good. We're here to talk about the Super Bowl, of course, the big game, as we all like to call it. That's going to be in Las Vegas, Nevada, this Sunday, February 11th. Kickoff at 4:30 p.m. Arizona time. Man, I'm always excited for the Super Bowl. I love this time of year, no matter who's playing in it. Football is just one of those sports for me where I don't really care who's playing. I can typically get through a game, and I can't really say that for most sports. Especially when it's a holiday game or a game like this, the Super Bowl. But Mike, you said it, man. Seeing Kansas City in there again, and then of course San Francisco, division opponent of the Arizona Cardinals. Is there some Chiefs fatigue going on that's causing a lot of people to kind of lean towards the 49ers in this one? Or do you think it's more even?
Man, I think you got to look at it from both sides of the spectrum, right? I think a lot of people got fatigued from the Patriots and Tom Brady winning all the time. But I still feel like a lot of people like Patrick Mahomes, and more people are gaining notoriety for the Chiefs, right? Because of the Taylor Swift stuff with Travis Kelce. But man, it's hard to get fatigued when a guy is just continuously becoming stellar year after year with less pieces around him at the same time too, right? I mean, the Chiefs struggled kind of the second half of this season as well, just really leaking themselves into the playoffs, but they've turned the corner and they've been stellar. I don't know, because guys, at the same time, the San Francisco 49ers, if you look at their track record over the past 5 years, they've been to the NFC Championship game 4 out of the last 5. So is it fatigue from these teams just being the top of the top for the last couple of seasons? That could be it. But at the end of the day, it's the best football that's going to be put onto a national stage. And I'm going to take that at the end of the day, even though it's the 49ers.
And that's the idea, right? Is to have the two best teams going up against each other in the Super Bowl. Hopefully it's a good game. We've seen some duds in our lifetime, but I feel like the last couple have been pretty fun games. I know that one last year was a lot of fun. Would have been more fun had we won the Tallman ticket, of course. You knew where I was going with that. But Tallman, we saw here locally some billboards going up, or at least one billboard in support of Brock Purdy. And that kind of stirred up some controversy. I don't know if you saw that, because obviously, like I mentioned, 49ers are in the same division as the Cardinals. I don't know if you call it a division rival. I guess maybe at one point. But do you think that it's okay to root for the hometown kid and go for the Niners, or do we have to go Chiefs in this case?
No, it's totally okay to root for the hometown kid, because I am rooting for the hometown kid. Most of all, I'm just rooting for a good game, right? I mean, if the 49ers win it, oh well, it gives us more praise when the Cardinals beat them next season, when we can say we beat the Super Bowl champs. But I'm all about it. I mean, it's hard to hate Brock Purdy. His story is incredible, and I want to see him win this game. And I think the fatigue is real right now. I'm very fatigued with the Chiefs. I'm okay not seeing Patrick Mahomes get almost halfway to matching Tom Brady's 7 Super Bowls. I'm okay with them losing. I'm done with the Chiefs. And Mike, you said the last 5 AFC championship games. It's been the last 6 AFC championship games.
No, I said the 49ers themselves. They've made 4 out of the
shit.
last 5 NFC championship games. Yeah,
My
obviously Patrick Mahomes hasn't not gone to
Yeah, right.
an AFC championship game since he's become a starter. But
So,
I
yeah,
feel you, man.
That's crazy. So these two teams, 5 years, or the last 5 for the 49ers, last 6 for the Chiefs. It's almost getting to the point where the regular season doesn't matter because you're going to see the same teams, in these big games at the end of the season. But I'm okay with us rooting for Brock Purdy. I know some of you guys are going against it. They're not feeling the 49ers, but I want to see this kid win. His story is just too good. It's just too good not to root for him.
I'd agree with that. I mean, Brock Purdy is a guy you can get behind, very non-controversial. I mean, even with all the criticism he's been taking about his game and being a game manager, he's taken that in stride, and he really, I think, goes out there and lets his play do the talking. So I think that's fair, Tallman. For me, it is hard for me to root for San Francisco, and I don't hate the Chiefs, I think, as much as I probably should, but I do feel you. In asking that question, I do think I have a bit of Chiefs fatigue. Like you said with the Patriots, we hated seeing them in there year after year.
You want to see Travis Kelce making out with Taylor Swift on the field while the gold and red confetti is falling after they win? I don't want to see that.
Well, America does, though, Tallman.
I know, but I'm so Taylor Swift, God bless her soul, but man, I'm so sick of seeing her. But the only reason I'd want the Chiefs to win is I would hope that Travis Kelce would retire and leave on a high note, and we can just be one and done with this Taylor Swift craze in the NFL.
I think that would be nice. I wouldn't mind that necessarily. Travis Kelce retire. They, can get out of the NFL spotlight. It's funny, since, obviously that's the big story, right? We can't ignore that. And so I started a Taylor Swift counter here for the stream of how many times we've mentioned her name, and we'll see how many more times it comes up. I mean, we are going to talk about some betting odds and props here later on, Tallman, but if you were setting one for this stream, what do you think the over-under, the line would be set at for most times Taylor Swift's name is mentioned? We're at 6 so far.
We're at 6. Oh, shit. Without avoiding it on purpose, it's probably going to be, I would say, set the line at 24.5.
Ooh, it's kind of high.
Well, we're all going to say it eventually.
Well, I'll add another one. I mean, obviously, Taylor Swift, it's gonna happen. I'd love to see the betting odds on how many times they'll show her during the game as well, right? So it's like, how many times are we going to say her name, and how many times are we going to see her on CBS? Is that what it's on this year? CBS gets the game, right?
I think so. That sounds right. But yeah, all those props are out there, and I'm sure we can dig those up as we kind of roll through here. I'll try and grab that while when you guys are chatting. But yeah, so 24.5, Mike. You said that's high, so you'd take the under on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any other notes in regard to that lady, so I'm not going to add to the line. So I'm going under.
See, unless he's fixing it now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Unless you guys want to push it, then
okay,
that's all on you.
I'll take over 24.5 Taylor Swift references then.
Well, there's another one. So
see what I did there. See how that works. But guys, I mean, back to talking about the game here. We know that Kansas City and San Francisco are the two best teams to get here. In theory, right? They went through the playoffs. They beat the other teams that made it and advanced. But these two teams didn't get here without a bit of trouble along the way. I guess what I'm trying to say is it wasn't always an easy ride for either of these teams. So I kind of want to take a high level, look at each team and how they got here to be in the Super Bowl. And starting with Kansas City, obviously the huge Taylor Swift media attention and the big talk really got a lot of extra eyeballs on the Chiefs, more than they already get. We saw their wide receivers, struggle to catch passes throughout the season. And even Travis Kelce himself, while being so heavily under the spotlight, struggled through a great portion of the season. Just looking at their season real quick, they lost their season opener by 1 point against Detroit, but then they went on to win their next 6. And kind of were on and off, but mostly consistently in games from there on out. But looking at that, Mike, do you think that Kansas City has kind of solved a lot of their issues as far as the drop passes go and not being able to finish those close games?
It seems like it, but basically just from the playoffs, right? Because if you think about what happened with this team after the bye week, they went 4-4 to finish the year with losses to Philadelphia, Green Bay, and Buffalo, and Las Vegas. I mean, obviously Buffalo and Philadelphia, that loss was early on before the tailspin that ended for the Eagles. But one thing that we're starting to see and absolutely understanding with Patrick Mahomes is he turns it on in the playoffs, right? I mean, I was looking at some stats in regards to just generalizations for when quarterbacks step back and their first or second reads. He was at about 67% on drop backs, right? He was going to that first or second guy, which was below the league average of 76%, but it's bumped up to 71% in the playoffs, which basically means he's picking his spots a little bit quicker. And like you said, Chris, receivers are avoiding drops in important situations. The Chiefs just don't make those critical mistakes down the stretch. I mean, we can look at that AFC Championship game. Zay Flowers, rookie, real nice rookie this year, right? Had 5 catches for 115 yards and a touchdown in that game, but had such a huge penalty after making that 54-yard catch down to the Kansas City Chiefs 10 for taunting. And then moments later, he fumbled the football. So you just don't see that from the Kansas City Chiefs because they've been there, they've done that, even though their offense isn't the same. You know, they've lost some weapons with Tyreek Hill. Travis Kelce, people are saying that he has lost a little bit of a step, but then he comes back out and has 11 catches for 116 and a tutty against the Ravens. Rashee Rice has been a nice up-and-comer rookie as well, second in the team for receptions. So they just find ways to pick up pieces and put them back into the fold and really not truly lose a step, right? It was until the playoffs, right? This season wasn't where they have been until the playoffs, man. And they've had to go and win 3 games, 2 of them on the road, right? The first time that Patrick Mahomes actually had to go and get it done in enemy territory. So it just is playoff time is when it's go time. And these guys know how to do it at the end of the day.
I think there's a lot to be said about experience and playoff experience in sports in general, but even in football, I mean, you can see and you can even say that these teams do turn over a lot from season to season, but the coaching and the foundation has stayed there for Kansas City, and you can call it culture or anything you want like that, but the Chiefs do have a winning system that they seem to be able to replicate even with players coming in and out. You saw them lose Tyreek Hill. That's a huge void to fill. And again, they're going to have to do that when Travis Kelce retires, whether it's this year, next year, or 2 years from now. Because let's be honest, Patrick Mahomes is probably going to be the Kansas City Chiefs quarterback for the next 10 plus years. I wouldn't doubt that for a second. The kid's what, barely, not even 30? I doubt he's even 30 yet. But
he's 28.
28, there you go. So yeah, him playing until he's 38, not unrealistic at all. And Andy Reid coaching until Patrick Mahomes is 38, now I don't know about that, but we'll have to see how that coaching tree shakes out. But Tallman, what do you got, man? What stood out to you the most about the Chiefs this season and their road to the playoffs and the Super Bowl here?
It's the defense. I mean, one prime example, you look at that AFC Championship game, they only had to score 17 points to win that game. You go back and look at the history. I mean, they've been there. We already mentioned they've been to the AFC Championship game the last 6 years. They lost 2 of those. The only time they lost was in crazy overtime shootouts, right? So just seeing that they only needed 17 to score and beat one of the best teams in the NFL in the regular season in 2023. But it's really been that defense. You can see the shift in the stats. I mean, Travis Kelce, the first time in 7, so Travis Kelce had 7 straight seasons, over 1,000 receiving yards. this season he didn't eclipse that 1,000 receiving yard mark. Granted, he was like, I think 14 yards away from getting it.
Yeah,
but
16.
You are 16. There you go. But you see the shift of, the defense really was carrying them as they had their offensive woes with the drops and all the other stuff that you guys have mentioned. So that's been most impressive in my mind here, because you look at some of these past Chief teams that have gone to the Super Bowl, they've had top 5 offenses, just explosive offenses throughout the regular seasons when they went to the Super Bowl. But this team's different, and it's even more scary because of that defense being such a more improved unit that we've seen over the past handful of seasons. It's more scary because Patrick Mahomes has turned it on. And look at their road to the Super Bowl. They beat the Bills. They beat the Ravens. They beat 2 of the best teams in the NFL. And, that kid, Patrick Mahomes, just turns it on, and he just shows up at the biggest moments, and he pulls it out, and he wins the biggest games. And it's just really scary now. Now they're going into the Super Bowl, and poor little Brock Purdy's got a rolling Chiefs team where the defense is playing good and Patrick Mahomes is playing with his hair on fire. So it's going to be a great game. I'm excited to see it, but I know we're going to talk about our predictions, and I got a lot more on that.
Good. Save it. We're definitely going to save the best for last, right? You got to keep the people engaged and wanting more. Mike, we talked about Kansas City here. San Francisco, it hasn't had the prettiest road through the playoffs and to get here. They did finish their regular season record was what I wrote it down here, 12-5. So technically a better record overall in the season than the Chiefs, who are 11-6. But that's still not bad. Obviously, the number 1 seed in the NFC. Brock Purdy was secured as the number 1 quarterback before the season even started. They traded Trey Lance, solidifying that pick. They traded for Chase Young at the end of October, getting their defense buffed out a little bit more. Looking at their season, though, a little more broadly, they had 3 straight losses after starting 5-0. They lost to the Browns, the Vikings, and then the Bengals. And I think a lot of questions were starting to get asked about Brock Purdy around that time. I think he was dinged up a little bit, took some hits. And then, of course, he had the ugly game against Baltimore on Christmas Day where Brock threw 4 interceptions. So I think that's where a lot of doubt has really started to seep in with Brock Purdy and Cam Newton really leading the charge in a lot of that, calling him a game manager and really sparking that conversation. I know we've had Tallman's brother here on Mr. T, and he kind of thinks Brock Purdy is a bit of a game manager, but not necessarily in a bad way. But I don't know, man. Mike, I don't know about you. I want to know what you think about the San Francisco 49ers season as a whole, of course. But just to ask this question while I'm thinking about it, do you think that Brock Purdy, like when you watch him, like, is he a game manager? Because he's making those passes. Like, he makes some pretty professional, good passes where it's not the receiver doing the work. It's him putting the ball in a good spot to be caught.
Oh, don't worry. We're going to get to Brock Purdy in just a second, but I'm going to answer your first question, Chris, in regard to the San Francisco 49ers season as a whole. I mean, after the first 5 weeks, did anybody think anybody else was going to come out of the NFC? I mean, they were steamrolling teams. And then they did go through that rough patch, dropping to the Browns, the Vikings, and the Bengals. The Browns, who had one of the best defenses in the NFL this season for sure. But then they picked things right back up, and that big win at the Eagles, that 42-19 win, really, started to solidify where they were again, with ending up with a 6-game winning streak before they went to Baltimore. But man, I mean, in regard to what's happening with Brock Purdy as well, he's blessed with weapons, right? I mean, you just have to think about the skill position players that he has around him. I mean, they're all pro guys, everybody. I mean, you can even throw in George Kittle, who seems like he's kind of getting down towards the end of his career just a little bit, but still has over 1,000 yards on the season. But you look at Brock Purdy's season stats comparative to Mahomes. I mean, Brock Purdy had 4,280 yards, 31 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. Mahomes was just a little bit behind that, 4,183 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. he doesn't make as many mistakes as you would think from somebody who was a 7th round pick, the last guy chosen at the end of the day. But the regular season is obviously different from the postseason, and the San Francisco 49ers have kind of taken a step back, to be honest with you, really just barely getting by the Green Bay Packers, and then putting their foot down in the second half against the Detroit Lions, who kind of blew that game with some drops as well. But to start down 24-7 at halftime, come out, field goal right away, cause a turnover on downs, get a touchdown, cause a one-play fumble, and then score 4 plays later. And before you know it, they're back in the game. And I think at that point, a lot of us were looking at each other like, oh yeah, Detroit's going to blow this thing. They're not going to be able to really stick it back on the road in San Francisco, unfortunately. But okay, Chris, I know I'm long-winded because I don't know if I want to answer the Brock Purdy question.
You gotta do it.
Because I'm still on the fence, man. Like, he does make some nice plays. He's a smart football player. He's a smart quarterback, right? But he has put them in some pickles this postseason, right? He only has 1 interception, but there were at minimum 3 different game-changing plays that could have gone the wrong way if the opponent defense didn't take advantage. And they didn't, right? But it's a team game at the end of the day. And he is an all-pro and should have been an MVP candidate this year for the way that he led the San Francisco 49ers team. So with that being said, I don't care how many weapons he has around him. I can't label him as a game manager because he's able to utilize them in the way that a true top-tier quarterback could do, right? I don't think he's not in the A list yet, but he's moving up there as he goes along.
Right. I mean, only his second season, his first full season as the starter, the solidified starter without any questions or doubt. So I think he only has room to grow from here. And that's why I think I'm really high on the guy. But, you know, anything could happen. Everyone has bad days. But, Tallman, we do hear a lot with this conversation about Brock Purdy's success, about the weapons around him, where, you know, they say you put any game manager in that offense, in that system, then they're going to be successful. I want to look at one guy in particular, in Christian McCaffrey, where it kind of seems like the offense goes where Christian McCaffrey goes in a lot of ways. And I think we saw in that last game, what was it, against Detroit, he was a little bit dinged up. He was having to massage his leg on the sideline, doesn't seem to be fully 100%, has battled injuries over the years. How big of a factor is Christian McCaffrey? And if he goes down in this game, does that swing the momentum dramatically in Kansas City's favor?
Yes, I would say it does. Christian McCaffrey's the best player in the NFL right now. I mean, you can't argue with that. The guy is just a freak athlete. You mentioned being banged up. Everyone's banged up right now. You just hope that he took that time in between the championship game and, you know, the Super Bowl coming up to kind of get right a little bit. But I have no doubt in my mind that dude, he's tough as hell. He's going to be out there, and unless he breaks his leg or tears something, that's the only way that guy's going to get knocked out of that game. So I'm very confident. I bet you he's going to be out there. He's going to rush for over 1,000 yards, over 100 yards, and I wouldn't be surprised if the guy gets 2 touchdowns. I mean, he's so electric. It's he's got a great offensive line. He's running behind, but the guy is just such an incredible athlete, and he's a big key to their success. I mean, a lot of those weapons are a big key to their success. I mean, it starts with McCaffrey, but, you know, you got to look at Deebo Samuel too. I mean, he's also a huge key to their success. We already mentioned their 3-game losing streak in the regular season. Deebo Samuel was out for that whole 3-game or for most of those 3 games. So it's a different offense without Deebo, but then you can just go down their roster. I mean, it's just the talent there is just outrageous. It makes you sick if you're a Cardinals fan, just the amount of talent on that roster. But it starts with McCaffrey, and if he gets knocked out of that game, it's going to be tough because then you're going to rely on Purdy throwing the ball a lot.
I don't think it can be understated how important Christian McCaffrey truly is for this 49ers offense. We talk about all the weapons they do have, but if you look at the running game, that's where the Chiefs kind of lack because their secondary is pretty strong with L'Jarius Sneed and McDuffie. But I mean, Christian McCaffrey in 2 games in the playoffs averaged 94 yards per game and 2 touchdowns per game, right? there's only one other back who has had 4 carries in total. So it's like he controls the running game at all times for this 49ers team. And if you look at Christian McCaffrey for a season as a whole, he was second on the team in receptions. So he just does everything for them. And like Tallman said too, like Debo was banged up a little bit as well. He barely got into that NFC Championship game that seemed like, but it all runs on McCaffrey, man. And if he's not fully healthy to go, then 49ers fans should be a little bit worried. That's for sure.
Yeah, I would think that's the case. And maybe a dumb question to ask about McCaffrey, because of course it runs through him. I mean, not even just McCaffrey though, and their star wide receiver, Deebo Samuel. I know Brandon Ayuk, hometown Arizona State kid. He's been doing pretty good too, but Deebo Samuel, they struggled a little bit when he went out in that game, a few weeks back. So health is a big thing in any sport, but I think especially for the 49ers offense, it's huge. As long as they can keep McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel healthy, they have a real chance in this game. The offense is obviously incredible, but another big factor for San Francisco is their defense. We mentioned that trade for Chase Young, but they also have, is it Nick Bosa? I can't even, because Joey plays for the Chargers, right? Gotcha. So they got 2 studs in the front, and then their secondary isn't too bad either. Tallman, do you think that the 49ers have the better defense of these 2 teams? I know you had mentioned Kansas City's defense earlier.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you already mentioned 2 big names. Don't forget about Fred Warner, the best linebacker in the NFL. I mean, they have the best defense in the NFL. If you just on paper looking at it, have they performed like the best defense in the NFL over the end of the season and in the playoffs? No, not at all. If they had, you wouldn't have Steve Wilkes out here calling out his defense, saying it was, I forgot the adjective he used or how he described it, but basically said their play has been absolutely disgusting through these 2 playoff games. But I think the 49ers defense is better, but as of late, they're not performing as good as they should be. This Chiefs defense see what they did in the AFC championship game, holding the Ravens to 10 points. I mean, I know the Ravens had the number 1 defense, but Lamar Jackson's probably our soon to be league MVP. So, I mean, he knows how to score and rack up the yards, but that Niners defense is really the big question mark, because I have full confidence in both offenses. But how is this 49ers defense going to react? Because you remember, what was it? The Cardinals ran for over 200 rushing yards against the 49ers late in the season. So they've just been getting gashed on the ground. So I'm keeping my eye on that Isaiah Pacheco over under on those rushing yards, because that boy going to be running. And I don't mean, so I don't know, man. You better hope Steve Wilkes with his call out got some fire burning under their asses, and hopefully they come out and show up.
Yeah, I think they're going to be under a lot of pressure and a lot of scrutiny to perform. And hopefully, it could go either way, right? You either fold under the pressure or you suck it up and you have a big performance. And with a week's rest, having this last week off and preparing for the Super Bowl, I think they're going to have a good chance. I do want to now look at the matchup. We've talked about both teams getting there, and we did talk a little bit about the big picture of the game, but 49ers Chiefs this weekend for the Super Bowl, the big game. Guys, it's an exciting time. When you look at the matchup and kind of break it down, Patrick Mahomes, this is his 4th Super Bowl appearance. He's 2-1 in Super Bowls so far. The San Francisco 49ers haven't been to the Super Bowl since 1994. So always plenty of storylines. Of course, you got the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce news going on, and a lot of attention that's going to be on that. But what have you guys heard about this story with the conspiracies? Obviously, there's the conspiracy with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, but I'm talking about the one where the Chiefs are being written in this script. I saw just today, I think it was, about the practice conditions where the Chiefs are getting to practice on the super nice Raiders practice facility, and the 49ers are over at UNLV, and their field conditions are not so great. Mike, do you think this is just bad luck of the draw, or is there more suspicion afoot?
Oh, I love a good conspiracy theory. You guys know me. I mean, let's think about it. The team who has been to the Super Bowl 3 out of the last, 5 years, compared it to a team that's only squeaked out one after going to 4 NFC championship games. Well, now 2. My apologies. But they lost to this team. Don't you think that they're going to give the upper hand to the team who has been there and earned that respect over years and years and years? That also comes down to a question, right? Who is scheduling these practice facilities? Was it the 49ers themselves that reached out to UNLV and said, hey, we need some place to work out at. Can we use your facilities? Or did the Chiefs beat them to the punch for the other one? Like, that's a good question to know, because then you're looking at different aspects, right? But at the end of the day, the best teams fight through adversity no matter what. And to prove that you're really the tippity top, man, you got to go through some of these struggles and show your mental fortitude at the end of the day. So if the 49ers really truly want to be the best team in the world for 2024, this shouldn't even be a worry for them, right? I know it's a lot of people just making stories in the background, and the 49ers are more focused on what's in front of them. But no, I don't think it's a competitive advantage. I don't think it's a disadvantage. Most of these guys grew up playing in snow and mud and that kind of stuff anyway, so they probably feel like they're just back at home at the end of the day.
Yeah, honestly, not a bad point at all. Tallman, would you kind of lean the same way as far as what your expectations are?
Yeah, I would. It's what pisses me off the most is another year, 2 years in a row, we're talking about grass again about the Super Bowl. What's going on? But no, I think, Mike, to answer your question, I think the NFL all handles where they practice, and there's something that they had to have everything figured out and planned by December. But you guys are absolutely right. The Chiefs get the Raiders facility, nice brand new facility in Henderson, and you got the 49ers playing at UNLV on some sod just laid over field turf. Just ridiculous. So it's crazy. I know Kyle Shanahan's pissed off a lot of people that if you're watching any of the news or anything, all these people from inside information are saying a lot of officials in the 49ers are very pissed off, and it's just ridiculous. And then you have Roger Goodell. He had his script all planned out, and he's coming out saying, no, the field's fine. We had all of our experts out there. It's all good. But it's crazy. I mean, it's hard to believe. It's hard to not think that the NFL would want the Chiefs to win because of the whole Taylor Swift, get that counter up, the whole Taylor Swift aspect. And it's feeling weird. It's feeling a little fishy, and it's hard to trust Roger Goodell, right?
I mean, I would say so. It's funny, like, when people are obviously going to be so hyper aware and tuned in and read into every little thing like that, why wouldn't you want to have the 49ers be in at least a similar experience? Like, I guess maybe if neither of them can have the top of the line NFL facility, do you send each of them to a college campus? Or I don't know, because it sounds like the Raiders facility is the best thing in town, and maybe UNLV is the next best thing, but clearly far, far inferior. So I don't know. That's tough. I don't know what NFL football practices look like in the slightest, but I imagine that the 49ers will be just fine come game day, despite their practice field conditions. But Tallman, as we continue to talk about the game here, and we're going to get to our predictions, of course, but I did see this story, and we can loop Mike in on this as well. Obviously the game's in Las Vegas, right? So going to be a big urge and temptation to go and gamble and hit the tables. Well, the NFL is going to lift the gambling restrictions for the Chiefs and the 49ers players immediately after the Super Bowl is over. So as soon as the game concludes, they're going to be able to hit the strip and celebrate or drown their sorrows and try and win some money. But as a sports betting aficionado, I think it's funny, this article is written by Cody Benjamin. But Mike, okay, I guess Tallman just got to talk a little bit, and he has to reel in and bask in the ability of the players to gamble. Do you think that that's a good rule for the NFL to have, where players aren't allowed to gamble, period? Like, I get not betting on their game they're going to play in, but restricting them from gambling at all, is that fair?
I mean, what's wrong with them putting a little parlay on a college basketball game? At the end of the day, what does it really matter? I mean, this is where the world is going, right? Like, sports betting is just a part of life, and it's a part of the culture over the past couple of years. I know it becomes hard to regulate, but as long as you're not like betting on yourself, betting on your team, or betting on the sport that you play in, what does it truly matter at the end of the day? I mean, there's already regulations in place for betting anyways. So I know it's more work for the NFL, I guess, at the end of the day. Like, how would you really track that? Are guys going to have to sign in through a specific app, or like, are there tracker locations going to be on at all times, seeing that they're in the Bellagio, not at the craps table in the sports book? But so are you saying they're not allowed to like do like craps or play blackjack? Like, they literally can't gamble at all?
That's my understanding of it, is that they are strictly prohibited from gambling,
That's
period. Yeah.
that's like taking away your American right. What in the world, man? Like, when it comes to sports gambling, yeah, there has to be some kind of restrictions. I get it, but going to casino with your friends, after a Sunday night football game to, put $50 on black, like, what in the world, man? I guess that's something I never even realized, that they couldn't do that, man. And they just gave Goodell extension. Good riddance, man. What the hell?
Right. And what is that under in like their policy? I'd be curious to know. I mean, I'm sure it's out there, but like, is it part of like player conduct? Because obviously you don't want your players waving guns on live streams, or, doing anything, getting DUIs, being foolish. I don't even think they even care about DUIs. I think you can get a DUI and not even get a fine in the NFL as far as player conduct goes. But it's interesting because, Mike, you look at back in like the day in the 90s, I guess it's crazy that's back in the day, but you had Michael Jordan going off, and even more recently James Harden, in between playoff games, flying to Vegas, blowing off steam, going on a bender. And I don't see anything wrong with that, as long as you're not betting on the game you're going to play in. Like, and I guess we could get into a broader conversation maybe at a later time, but like, as long as you're not betting against the team you're playing for, if you bet on your own team to win a game, what's the harm in that? You're betting on yourself, right? You're betting on yourself. So it's like even added incentive. But I think these guys are also smart, just kind of bouncing all over the place here, where I'm sure the smart guys, I'm sure maybe I'm the dumb guy here thinking that this is smart, but why don't you just, if I'm an NFL player, if I'm playing in the Super Bowl, why don't I ask Tallman, hey, go put 10,000 on this bet for me? You just have a proxy.
Oh man, yeah, I don't know. I'm with you guys, but betting on yourself. I mean, you could bet over under. Oh, I'm going to bet under on myself not to catch more than 4 passes. It's one of those things where it only takes one person to ruin it for everybody else. And back just in the history of sports overall, I mean, there's been so many times where fixing games and people gambling, or whether it's officials, referees, or players themselves, it's just, I mean, they got to have it, where you can't bet on any NFL games. Because what if you're really cool with one of the coaches or on another team, and you play now on a different team, and you guys are doing some shisty behavior or actions, or who knows? You can't trust anybody, right? So the no strict gambling, it makes sense. It absolutely does. But because they can only not bet on NFL, right? I thought that's what it was, because I had to look it up, and I thought the players can only not bet on any NFL, right?
Yeah, I guess I maybe should have dissected that article a bit more carefully, but I don't think that makes a lot of sense if it's just NFL, because like what NFL are you going to bet on after you win the Super Bowl or lose the Super Bowl? And again, I don't know if that's a year-round, like a season-round policy where you're never allowed to, or if it's just specific to Super Bowl weekend, where it's like the teams that are participating in the Super Bowl aren't allowed to gamble. I don't know. And I don't know what the point of the policy would be either. Because, I mean, us sitting here logically thinking about it, it's like, yeah, don't bet on NFL. That's the easiest, most broad, safest thing. Just don't bet on the NFL. You can play craps, you can play blackjack, you can bet on college basketball, but do not bet on the NFL. And I don't know. It's interesting to me. And I just wonder how, like you said, Mike, a little bit earlier, how is that regulated? Like, is it the guy at the ticket counter is like, hey, you're Brock Purdy. You can't place this bet on the 49ers to lose. Like,
they got the NFL informant at the freaking
it's
Caesars Sportsbook, man. Watch out.
It is all the sports books. Because what was that? It was that one JAG employee. He works in their financial department. He stole like $20 million and bet all of it on FanDuel or something. And FanDuel reported it, of course, after he already spent $20 million. And then now they're refusing to give any of the money back because they want it fair and square, right? It's all the sports books reporting it, because then you have that college kid who placed. Did you guys hear that? He placed like over 7,500 bets in the span of 1 year on his own team. I forgot what school he went to, but on his own team and a bunch of other different sports. Yeah, that kid got screwed. I don't remember his name, but it's all these sports books. They're waiting until they collect all their money and then they're snitching on them.
That makes sense. I mean, you have to obviously, especially when you come to collect, if you did pay it yourself, it's going to be a record of that. And they're going to, I don't know, are they constantly searching for these names and being like, oh, does this, I mean, because we saw, who was it, Calvin Ridley? He was betting on the Falcons to win games, and he ended up taking a whole season off with a suspension for that one. I don't know. Again, it's an interesting conversation to have.
It is. And then you guys saw, was it LeBron James is partnering with, I think it's FanDuel. He's got one of his own like specialty bets or something on there for the Super Bowl. Like you're going to get to a point where, I mean, the line is so fuzzy. It's so gray where it's like, how you already can't legally, you can't separate it. Right. Because, it's legal to bet on sports and it's just so many moving parts, but you got it. Okay. So if players can bet on the games, then it's just all these more conspiracy theories that we don't need are going to come up, and it's just going to destroy the integrity of the game. So it's good that there's these restrictions, but I mean, like you said, what if I tell my nephew to go, or my nephew, he'd probably be very young. What if I told my cousin, hey, bet on this shit for me, whatever. And, through a proxy, like you said, Chris. I mean, I'm sure that happens a lot. They just don't get caught.
Yeah, and again, maybe that's the smart thing to do. Maybe they're hip to it. Who knows? But it's just it is very interesting to sit here and think about all the ins and outs of that. And maybe we'll talk about it again, and I'll do some more research, see what I can really find out about it. But back to talking about the Super Bowl, Michael Benjamin, we're looking at some sports betting now, talking about bets and the big game as you'll have it. So right now the 49ers are favored at -2, -2.5. What depending on the sports book you look at. So what are you thinking as far as that being so close? Is that a line that you'd be willing to jump on and think that San Fran could win by a field goal?
Yeah, I think so. But I don't want to sway people's thoughts on what my predictions are going to be just yet. At the end of the day, man, Super Bowls always come down to just one play, right? It just seems like it. The team that has the football at the end, or the one that can make that goal line stop. And it seems like it's normally a field goal game, right? And these teams are really high powered, kind of on both sides of the football to a certain extent. So it's going to come down to what team doesn't make the mistake and ekes it out at the end of the day. So that's why I wouldn't mind taking that line at the end of the day. That's -2 is always tough to take a look at and be like, ooh, okay, if I want to really stretch on that. But yeah, I mean, obviously depending on how much money I'm going to put on it, I'm not going to go too crazy. You guys know I like to sprinkle it all over the place when it comes to the Super Bowl, and I normally don't come out on top. But hey, we still have some fun.
It's all about having fun. That's what gambling is all about, man. And I think I wouldn't be, shy of taking that line either. But it does make it appealing on the other side when you're looking at Kansas City at +2.5. Maybe I'd be willing to take that one. So again, we're going to make our predictions here as soon as we're done talking about these props and everything. But Tallman, we saw last year, I think it was just one leg that we missed the Tallman ticket on for the Super Bowl. You did a same game parlay, special Tallman ticket edition. Are we looking at having another one from you? Are we going to be able to expect that?
Yes, yeah, of course. We're gonna pull out another one because we were so close. Last year we lost just because the Eagles didn't win the game, right? And that game went down to the very last couple of possessions. So we're definitely going to be seeing another one. I know last year I think it was a pretty big parlay, a lot of legs. We might shorten it down a little bit because we really need a win over here. we are just, I don't think we booked a W yet on the Tallman ticket. So this is the first time for everything, and maybe it happens for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't know. You guys may have noticed, of course you noticed, because you're huge fans of the Tallman ticket. It was a little bit of a lull year. We had one every week in 2022, 2023. But this year in 2023, 2024, Tallman had to do some reflecting, had to do some research. He's been crunching the numbers. He's been doing some personal reflecting. And so he's ready. This Super Bowl ticket, I have a real good feeling about it. Right on the edge. What better way to end this season, head into next year with a head of steam and a pocket full of cash, and just go for it, man. So Tallman, I know you're not going to give us the ticket tonight. You're still in the lab. You're still cooking. But can you share with us some tidbits, some lines you like? Maybe give us your favorite player or two to score a touchdown if you have any.
Yeah, absolutely. So no ticket tonight. I need my production team. So we're going to have to wait a day or two on that one. So players that like to score, I'm really feeling both running backs. So I'm feeling Christian McCaffrey to score. I'm sure last time I looked, the odds for him to score a touchdown they're not that great because he's going to score a touchdown. So obviously that's a very easy pick. But I'm really feeling Isaiah Pacheco as well to score. So those are my two guys. I'm also liking the tight ends. Our boy Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift's boyfriend, to score a touchdown. And I'm really feeling one from George Kittle as well. So I like the running backs. I like the tight ends. And there's that one stupid bet that I've yet to hit that I missed by field goal last year that I'm going to do again because the odds are so good. And I have a feeling we're going to see a good amount of points scored in this one. Take a look into this one on FanDuel. It's plus 2,600. It's each team to score a touchdown and a field goal in both halves. It sounds easy, but it's really, really fucking hard to hit. I would know based off of experience for the past playoff games, but I'm really liking that one because of the odds on it. That right there is telling me that they don't think it's going to happen, because if they did, or if they think it was more likely, like we saw with the Lions and 49ers game, that those odds were down around plus 1,700. So I'm liking the odds on that because I'm feeling it. I'm feeling like this is going to be a game where we see a lot of offense.
I can get behind that, especially the running backs. Of course, it's tough with Christian McCaffrey because you can basically write him in to score a touchdown in every single game. So you almost have to, if you really want to, win some money, bet on him scoring 2 touchdowns. Not saying to do that. And folks, we're not giving gambling or financial advice. We're just, we're saying what we might like and what we might do. We're not telling you to do anything. We're just saying what we might like to see. I don't hate those, Tallman, the touchdown and field goal in each half. You were I guess technically 2 field goals shy of winning that in the Bills-Chiefs game that we saw. If Bass had made his, I almost said Lance Bass. If Bass had made his field goal and then Harrison Butker, the Chiefs come down and he kicks his field goal to win it, then you hit that bet right there. So it's not crazy to think that it could happen.
It's not. No, you're right. And then the last year's Super Bowl, I think it was one of the teams missed a field goal at the end of the first half. And if he would have made that field goal, I would have won on that one too. But I'm liking it because we're talking about 2 good defenses. I mean, that is if the 49ers show up. 2 good defenses, 2 good offenses, right? So you're almost guaranteed we're going to have a handful of touchdowns, but those field goals are the ones it's good because Dan Campbell is not coaching, because any 4th down he gets, he just goes for it, never kicks a field goal. I don't know what that guy's got against field goals. It probably cost him the NFC Championship game, if you ask me. But the two good offenses, two good defenses, you're going to see some stops in the red zone or within field goal range. So I'm feeling really good about that one.
I'd say, I mean, Mike, are any of these bets here tickling your fancy? I know you aren't the biggest sports bettor out there, but you like to sprinkle it around for the Super Bowl. I know.
Guys, as betting has become more and more popular for the American public, I'd say it continues to get less and less popular for Michael Benjamin. But the Super Bowl is always a big day for me. I go a little crazy, as some would say, because I don't bet on a regular basis in general. But I mean, looking at some of these, over under with Debo, I might touch the over. Travis Kelce, that is a close line. I feel like it's going to be right around there. I might go with the over as well, but I think a lot of people are thinking Patrick Mahomes is going to have a big day. So over 262 could stretch closer towards 300 as well. Man, my favorite thing, though, is the crazy props, man. And where are these? I want to see them. Like coin toss, who's going to receive first, that kind of stuff.
We have color of the Gatorade. Where's that at?
Yeah, where is that, man? That's the kind of stuff I need to see.
Where's the Taylor Swift bets? I know I saw one on or I heard one on the radio. I guess it was through some sports book, not in Canada, not in the US, where there was a prop bet of will Travis Kelce propose to Taylor Swift after the game, and it was like minus 200. It was awful odds. Like it was just a given that it was going to happen. But I'm sure there's some stupid ones on there. But I don't know, FanDuel, those main ones, they usually don't do a lot of the funky prop bets like that, where you got some online sports books where you can bet on politics and you can basically bet on anything. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know DraftKings has a whole bunch, but I did see this one where they have George Karlaftis and Chase Young to both record half a sack each, plus 600. I actually don't hate that one, right? Karlaftis was tied for the team lead with 10.5 sacks, and Chase Young, that defensive line is so stacked for San Francisco where it's hard for anybody to really stick out that much. But half a sack, man, yeah, that would be an easy one for me to throw some on. You're muted, Chris.
Oh, that's fine. I was just saying that there's not like the novelty props we were quite looking for, but on DraftKings they do have a couple here. You see the coin toss outcome, heads, tails, and then I think it's interesting, the jersey number of the first touchdown scorer, over under 22.5. So I guess that's definitely more interesting now, as like the numbers have kind of opened up more as far as how spread out they are amongst the positions. It used to be very strict. I think the lower number scorers are typically the offensive players, right? Like the quarterbacks, the wide receivers, but running backs can get up into the 30s. Tight ends, of course, typically in the 80s, right? Tallman, of the guys you picked there, what, McCaffrey is 22?
Yeah, 23? No, Jesus.
They set that at that line for a reason. So if it's 22, that's why I'm thinking 22. Exactly. If he's 23, then I would definitely take that.
Yeah. He plays for the 49ers. I don't know.
Yeah, he's number 23.
He's 23.
He is 23. Okay, so then honestly.
So, I mean, you already know all the jersey numbers and people are going to score the touchdowns. And then, Pacheco's 10. He's 10. So, but I don't know. That's a tough bet.
Yeah,
like trying to pick who's going to score the touchdown first. I got last year's Super Bowl playing here on NFL Network. Kenneth Gainwell scored the first touchdown last year. Who the hell would have picked that?
Yeah,
exactly.
World famous Kenneth Gainwell, right?
Well, watch. Exactly that'll happen with the Chiefs. Isaiah Pacheco will drive all the way down the field, and then fucking Clyde Edwards-Helaire will steal the touchdown.
Right, exactly. Some crazy crap.
That's just and the NFL and rightfully so, I will say, but they don't give a fuck about your parlay.
No,
They don't give a shit about your fantasy football team. Like, we're all
That's-
here and like,
that's why we should let them bet on it, because then they would give a shit about it. See, it'd be a win-win.
he's like, oh fuck, I put $10,000 on me to get over 80 yards and I'm only at 60.
Coach, give me the ball.
It could be interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I like those props. I'm curious to see what the Tallman ticket's gonna look like. One fun bet I did see here, I just think honorable mention. You can bet on next year's Super Bowl winner. They got the odds out for that already. And guess what the odds are for your Arizona Cardinals to win the Super Bowl?
Ooh, plus 50,000.
Damn.
I was gonna say that too.
Damn. No faith in your boys to have a bounce back year. Full year of Kyler Murray under Drew Petzing. JG in his second year.
We're close. We're close.
Getting Marvin
28,000.
Harrison Jr.
Plus 28,000.
No, we're close.
Unless I read it wrong, and I'm gonna double check, but when I checked it and I was looking at it on FanDuel, 2025 Super Bowl odds for the Arizona Cardinals was plus 7,500.
Let's see.
And so I don't know if they're just being
you're right.
cautious. Yeah, 7,500. So not even like they're close. They're near the bottom, but they're not like.
Chris, we have better odds than the Steelers, my God. Let's go.
That's crazy.
I mean, shit. Would you rather have Kenny Pickett or fucking Kyler Murray? I guess that's a real hard decision, isn't it?
Yeah. Keep Pickler the stickler over there, man. We don't want him.
I got to talk to my brother about it, but I heard some interesting rumors that they might look at Justin Fields and making that trade, bring him in. I don't know. Could be better than Pickett, but we'll see. We didn't get Cliff Kingsbury. He's going to go be the offensive coordinator of the Washington Commanders. Maybe for the best there, but not talking about the Steelers, not even talking about the Cardinals. We're talking about Super Bowl 58 this Sunday, February 11th. Guys, it's that time. Before we go, we've kind of hinted at it a little bit, but we need to make our predictions on who we think is going to win the Super Bowl. If I'm not mistaken, when we sat here on this very same live stream, y'all picked the Eagles to win it. Your bet, the Tallman ticket, clearly reflected that. Mike, did anybody on this panel pick the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl last year? I'm just curious. I'll just sit back.
There was one guy who did choose the Kansas City Chiefs, and his name was Chris Patrick. But if I'm remembering correctly, none of his parlays hit last year anyways. So just take your moral victory, Chris, and then go ahead and sit back down. All right. Touche.
So that was last year, though. This is this year. You guys have a whole fresh start. Our sports bets have a whole fresh start. We got another, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We got 3.5 days to figure this out and lock it down and get the Tallman ticket out there. Tallman, I'm going to ask you for a commitment on when you can promise the people this Tallman ticket.
Well, when are you guys going to come over and film it?
We got to get the camera crew out to his house.
You want to put it out like minutes before the game?
I mentioned my production team. You guys are my production team.
Oh my God.
Fuck, man. Yeah, thinking probably put it out Saturday. What is day before?
Saturday the 10th of February. Okay.
Yeah, or maybe Friday night. Who knows?
Ooh, okay.
It's getting a little frisky there.
Yeah.
Are we?
What are you guys doing Friday night?
We'll talk.
Yeah,
we'll talk.
Production scheduling sometimes is a little bit iffy, so we got to work on some back end work. But
there's some back of the house,
I understand.
Contract negotiations that have to take place. But
you see why it didn't happen all the time this year? You see why, guys? This is what I'm dealing with.
Wow.
The production team wasn't there.
Unbelievable.
All right.
All right.
Well,
2024
VSP is doing it big, so we're gonna up the production value. The production team is gonna get out to Tallman, and we'll make it happen. But fellas, like I said, not gonna bury the lead here as much as we've already buried it an hour into this stream. I'll go last. Who wants to go first and make their prediction for the Super Bowl?
You know what, Tallman? I'll take it away.
Oh yeah, you
How
go.
about that?
Are we predicting the score as well?
Yeah. Let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I'm gonna do. Fuck it, Tallman. I'm gonna do over under as well too. How about that? How does that sound? Now, remember, people, we are not financial advisors, and I am by far on the lowest of the totem pole when it comes to betting out of us three. So take what I say with a grain of salt. But fellas, when it comes down to this matchup, I think this is going to be a really exciting game. I don't know if it's going to be as much as a dogfight as people really think it is. Kansas City isn't going to be able to go crazy and big plays like they normally would. They're going to really have to structure their drives and take advantage of those scoring long 12, 13 play drives and punch it in. And San Francisco is going to have a little bit tougher of a matchup, I think, with that, back end cornerback room in Kansas City. But I still think at the end of the day in the Super Bowl, points get scored. So I'm probably going to take that over for the 47.5. And I'm going to go with my final score prediction, 31-27. Okay. And I have to follow what I've been saying throughout these playoffs. Until Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs prove me wrong, I just can't pick against them. So I'm going with the Chiefs taking this one, winning their third in 5 years, starting a new dynasty. You guys hate it, but yeah, I don't like it either, but that's probably what's going to happen. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to win this one 31-27. And then MVP? Who should I go with MVP? Huh? Let's just say Travis Kelce for the fuck of it. No, I mean, it's going to be Patrick Mahomes at the end of the day. Quarterbacks always win, but that's no fun. So we'll go Travis Kelce. How about that? Well, one time for the Taylor Swift fans. Add it to the list, baby.
Does Travis Kelce get MVP considerations if he gets 2 touchdowns again?
He should, 100%. But, I mean, overall statistics are probably still going to lean towards Patrick Mahomes because if Kelce is getting the 2 touchdowns, so is he. And he's probably going to find a way to get another one because you're going to have to score at least 3 touchdowns to win this game, I think.
Yeah. No, I think so. So, Mike, 31-27 Chiefs. Taking the Chiefs this year. Tallman, what about you?
Oh, yeah, no, I was thinking that exact same score in my head. I already know who Chris is going to pick. So I'm going to go 49ers to win the game. I have a feeling little Brocky boy is going to put out a very Purdy show on the Super Bowl. And I see him passing for over 300 yards, give him 3 touchdowns. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go final score. Mike, you said 31-27. If I pick 31 for my winning 49ers, then that would mean they scored 4 touchdowns, only 1 field goal. Then I don't win my bet that I'm going to place. So I'm going to go final score, 49ers 30 points, the Chiefs 27. And for Super Bowl MVP, it's going to be Taylor Swift. I mean, sorry, I'm just trying to get the Taylor Swift count up.
Notch it up. Notch it up, Chris. Come on.
There you go. There's 2 right there. Excuse me. I'm getting all excited. I almost threw up. Super Bowl MVP is going to be none other than Brock Purdy because he's going to throw for, as I already mentioned, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he's going to be the man, not the game manager, but the game winner, Brock Purdy.
303 touchdowns. He only has 2 touchdowns in 2 playoff games. Tallman, you think he's going to explode like that?
Well, in this game, they're not going to be playing the game coming from behind. They're going to Steve Wilkes pissed everybody off. So defense is going to come out to play.
He said, Chase Young, you better run at Jahmyr Gibbs. Damn it. Get moving.
Make it happen. So based off that score, 30-27, you are hammering the over 47.5 total points. Okay, I see what you're doing there. We got Mike with the Chiefs, Tallman with the 49ers, Kelsey and Purdy, but it was Kelsey with the asterisk of it probably being Mahomes for Michael Benjamin, being the realist over there. Tallman, you already know who I was going to pick? I guess I've kind of alluded to it a little bit. I am going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs to back it. I whether I like it or not, I just think that's what's going to happen. It's the pedigree of this team, the coaching ability of Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and Travis Kelce being familiar with this big stage, and really most of that team. You can even look at the young guys on that roster that were there last year. They're doing it all over again. So they're not going to have as many nerves in theory as the 49ers. And I think that's going to bode well for them. I know once the whistle blows and the game starts being played, those nerves will kind of wear off and the 49ers will settle in. I expect it to be a close game, a hard fought game. And guys, all of our scores pretty similar. Mine for the Chiefs is going to be 31-24. I think it's going to be a 1 touchdown game there. Chiefs are going to win it and definitely over that 47.5 mark. MVP, that's an interesting wrinkle we threw in there. I find it hard to think it's not going to be Patrick Mahomes, but just for shits and giggles, for while we're having fun out here, I'm going to say Super Bowl MVP Christian McCaffrey.
From the losing squad?
Has a losing player ever won Super Bowl MVP? I think they have.
I think one time.
Oh, when? In the 70s or 80s? Had to be a long time ago.
Chuck Howley.
From when? When was
Who?
that? What Super Bowl was that? Super Bowl 10?
Yeah, good question. Howley was also named MVP of Super Bowl 5.
I was close enough.
It is the only player on a losing team to receive the award. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2023.
There you go, Chuck.
So Chuck, big Chuck Howley, 87 years old, still kicking it. I don't know. That's my long shot. I mean, either I'm right on MVP and the 49ers won, or McCaffrey puts up like 180 yards and 3 touchdowns and the 49ers still lose somehow, and you just got to give him MVP.
So it's like when we did the first recap and I had to give player of the recap to Christian McCaffrey when they played the Cardinals. Okay, I see what you did there, Chris. You're playing both sides of the field, man. I don't hate it.
Like I said, likely if I have my way and my predictions right and the Chiefs win, could very much probably, if I had a gun to my head, I'm taking Patrick Mahomes. But for the fun of it here, I'm going Christian McCaffrey. It'll be interesting. Of course, we will all three be watching that game together on Sunday. And on the next Heat Check podcast, we'll probably share with you our reactions to that game and that matchup. Of course, be on the lookout for the Tallman ticket coming out this Saturday, February 10th. I don't know. You just got to make sure you're following us on all our social medias, of course, at AZ_VSP on Instagram, X, TikTok, and Threads. I don't know how much we're doing on Threads these days, but Valley Sports Plug is also on Facebook and YouTube where you're here right now. So make sure you like and subscribe and tell your friends all about it. And I'll just say it one time, we're giving away tickets to the Phoenix Suns game against the Los Angeles Lakers on February 25th. So you want to make sure you go to our Instagram page so you can enter for a chance to win those tickets. There's just a few easy steps you got to follow. It'll be in the pinned post at the top of our page, and you will not want to miss it. So guys, I just want to give you the floor one time before we get out of here. I know I just did those long-winded plugs, but Michael Benjamin, anything you got for the people?
Man, even though the San Francisco 49ers, an absolute ultimate rival of the Arizona Cardinals that I absolutely hate with a fiery passion, I just know this is going to be a fun game, and that's what it's about as a sports fan at the end of the day, is enjoying some good football, because damn it, we're not going to have it for a long time after this weekend. So I'm excited. We're heading out to Tallman's. Tallman, you going to have some queso dip, my brother?
Oof.
What you got for us?
I don't know
baby?
if that's on the menu, man.
Some meatballs?
No matter what.
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
No matter what, we're going to have a good time, be surrounded by some good people, and watch some good football. So excited for this weekend, man. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited. I'm excited. Yeah, we're going to Tallman. Tallman, what do you got? I'm sorry. I should have set you up for that.
Was it my turn then? Oh,
yeah, it's your turn. You got the stage, big dog.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. I had to look up Chuck Howley's stats for getting MVP. he got 2 interceptions in the game, and that was back when they didn't record sacks or tackles. So 2 interceptions, he gets Super Bowl. Anyways, Super Bowl 5. But yeah, looking forward to Sunday. We get to watch that final round of the Waste Management, the Phoenix Open, as long as there's no rain, up until the kickoff of the Super Bowl. It's going to be a good time. Hopefully win some money, right? Hopefully come Monday, I can still pay my mortgage. So if you guys see a GoFundMe after the Super Bowl, just give it a read. Think about it. Think if you want to, help a brother out, because it's probably coming.
Now, is that to help fund your gambling addiction or to help
No,
fund your rehab?
No, it's
pay your
gambling
mortgage.
addiction.
Pay your
Wait,
bills.
come on.
Yeah, and we'll bump up the goal a couple thousand to pay for rehab. How about that?
Perfect. I like it. Well, hopefully we won't have to worry about that, and you'll just be a winner, because it's not gambling, Tallman, if you know you're going to win. And that's
True.
That's how we do it out here. I know history with the Tallman ticket hasn't been kind, but hey, even the Pistons won a game this season, guys. Anything's possible. But yeah, guys, last thing I got to mention, I'm very excited for the game, of course. Like these guys said, the good food, the good game, the good sports bets, the cold drinks. And I took the day off on Monday, so I'm not even going to go to work the day after. I know. How dare I? So we're going to have a good time. The Swiftie count of this stream was at 16. Make it 17 now that I just mentioned Taylor Swift's name. So we eat that under. I don't know what the line is going to be like for Sunday, so make sure you check out those fun props out there on the
I'm
website.
already starting off the week on a winning hit. Let's go, baby. Let's
Get out of
go.
here.
See if Mike endorses the Tallman ticket, and you'll know whether you should hop on board or not.
Are you sure it was only 16? Damn.
Well, it became 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift.
No,
It's
over. It's over now.
Oh shit! I won.
It's over.
Well, at the buzzer, Tallman crushes the over, and we'll just have to see how the Tallman ticket goes, if he can crush that as well. But for these fellas, my name is Chris Patrick. For Michael Benjamin and VSP Tallman, we will see you next time. Have a good night. Peace.